E aí galera, beleza? Aqui é o Jordão, tô aqui com um dos caras que fez o South by South acontecer, a SXSW acontecer, Bruce Sterling.
Yasmina Teshanovic, ciao.
His wife, which, as you know, the wife is always, has like a 100% part in make us something, right?
Oh, okay.
It makes the husband into something, right?
There you go.
So, Bruce, the question that I have to you is, maybe some Brazilian people will be watching this video and will be
I like to think so, yeah.
will be inspired to create a experience or an event like that.
Yeah.
What suggestion you have for the people that is watching and wants to have something like that in our own cities?
Yep.
And in your own states or countries, how to create something like that?
Well, South by Southwest grew organically because originally it was just an emanation of a little magazine. I mean, originally there was a paper publication, and then they started having events about music because they covered music a lot, and then they started covering film, and then they started covering interactive and multimedia things, and they knew how to listen to their audience. So they kind of grew it year by year with no immediate set plan. So you can't just copy everything and drop it from a helicopter and expect it to work. You would have to have that kind of organic community support.
Great. And you were saying that after Obama,
Yeah.
I watch Bruce Sterling. He's do the last presentation of the South by South. His remarks.
Yeah.
It's very funny, crazy, deep things. And I learned
I
a
always
lot.
show up here because I was here at the beginning. So, but it's really going to be hard to beat the President of the United States for a keynote speaker.
Yeah.
I really wonder about the future of the event after this. I mean, what? You're going to bring in the entire Congress?
Yeah.
I mean, or maybe the Pope?
Yes.
I mean, who's left after that? It's got to mark some kind of turning point in the event, I guess.
Yeah. But what's next about everything that's going on?
Well, the society of kind of digital and network culture that South by Southwest has always supported has gone larger and larger instead of become more and more mainstream and conventional. So, it used to be quite an eccentric group here, very weird. And, now, Donald Trump is that weird, basically. I mean, politics are digital and weird, business is digital and weird, the military is digital and weird, international relationships are digital and weird. I'm sure that the kind of political organization that you see in the U.S. now, the kind of fundraising and grassroots electronic stuff, will spread to Brazil eventually. You're going to see a lot of the things that are happening in the in American digital society will happen in Brazilian digital society, just with Brazilian characteristics.
Well, I was in the airplane. I was watching a documentary.
Yeah.
About San Francisco. San Francisco 2.0.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
No, I haven't seen it, but I have a lot of friends in that city. I'm familiar with their.
It's about it's about the mayor.
Yep.
They to generate more jobs. They motivate the big stars of technology industry to open their business in San Francisco, and now they are kicking off of the city the poor people.
Yeah.
That can afford the houses, the price of the house.
I think that's an international problem. I mean, it's not just. I mean, the real estate thing is part of globalization generally, and it's wherever you have a thriving tech sector or really any kind of real estate speculation, people just start buying up the houses and not living in them. So this is a major problem with like the London tech scene, because people want to have a London house whether they're there or not, and they just price out people who are working people or the middle class. So, that tends to eviscerate a scene. Like if you're in London, you expect to see a lot of musicians, a lot of writers, a lot of creatives. Okay, they can afford to live in London. And the same's true of Berlin. increasingly so, especially in some districts of Berlin. And of course it's true in California, where real estate prices have gone way, way up. And it's been a problem in Japan too. So it's not something that's unique to digital society or highly paid people. It's really about the mobility of capital and the and real estate policies. Because real estate's a better investment than, say, oil or even gold. Because commodities are very dangerous, and the stock market's rather dodgy, and you can't do the normal kind of currency trading speculation. So a lot of wealth has gone into just buying up housing, and then people have no place to live.
My question would be, what do you say to the people that criticize the technology industry because we create jobs, but we kill jobs? And how to kill the gap that maybe there are the people that knows about computers and everybody else. What's going on with these people? I mean, how to
it's like
include the people.
It's like other major industries. You could say the same thing about electricity. I mean, it certainly killed a lot of jobs.
Yes.
Because you used to go out and chop wood and carry coal, right? And now you've got an electrical wire in your house, and hey, it's certainly a mistake. It's like a category error to think that technology is only going to change things for the better. It's just going to change things, period. And it's going to change them again and again in different ways, I mean, people talk about technology like technology never harms technology. But you could be in technology right now. You could be in IBM, Hewlett-Packard, Dell. A lot of the standard non-internet technology companies are in terrible trouble. I mean, they're really losing a lot of jobs. And these are engineers, programmers, very gifted people with Nobel prizes, can't get a job because of, industry disruption. So it's not like it's the technology business against everybody else. It's more like tremendous disruptive forces that are just tearing into everything. And, the guys who are exhibit A for this phenomenon are musicians. Whatever happens to musicians will happen to everybody eventually. Right? So, if you're in Brazil right now, you want to know you want to know who defines contemporary Brazil. It'd be like Tropicalia guys.
Yeah.
You're a Tropicalia guy, and I'm going to be like Minister of Culture, under Lula. I mean, well,
It happened.
It happened.
Something like that.
I saw it happen. It was super interesting. And I was like, okay, man. It's like fucking Gilberto Gil is the culture minister. I was like, all right. That makes a lot of sense from a Brazilian perspective. I think I understand what's going on. Okay, now you get severe Brazilian economic problems, but they're all about stuff like crude oil prices, which are, bad in Venezuela. And hey, this is Texas, all right? We get it about crude oil prices. I mean, you can learn from other people. Just don't think you can mimic them exactly, and don't think that they're perfect. We're all human.
Yeah. What if you could choose? If you could pick 3 talks that's gonna happen this week, which one would you suggest for the people to don't miss?
Well, there's a Kevin Kelly talk. I'm kind of a fan of Kevin Kelly. I'm probably going to show up for his talk. There's a number of panels on Internet of Things that I'm probably going to attend. And I like augmented reality. It's not a major industrial thing, but it's kind of a cool art thing. And I've always liked it. So I'll probably show up for a few AR panels. I mean, if you're a businessman and you're trying to find a job or hire somebody, you should go to one of the thousands of business panels that are at South by now. And that didn't used to be the case. We just didn't have a lot of suits. But they're all over the place now, and it's because, it is an industry. It's an industrial event. It's like going to Ford Motor Company. So it is. I saw it happen. It took 30 years, but 30 years is long enough.
Yeah. Bruce, if you were in Brazil, and if I give you a mic, in a big in our television, what message would you give to those 200,000 Brazilian that lives there?
Well, I quite
like what a prophecy.
No, I like Brazilian electronic art. I mean, I'm an art guy. I'm like art director of Share Festival in Italy. And we get a lot of electronic art from South America, and especially from Brazil. And that's an area where I think creatives, this kind of gadget art, kinetic art, website art, software art, it's something that the U.S. doesn't do a lot of. But it's something that I find of interest, and I think the sort of Brazilian talent in that area is underestimated. I mean, don't go out and try to build Silicon Valley out in the freaking jungle, okay? Enough with the Brasilia stuff, just knock it off with that, and try and find, I would devote my energy to doing stuff where, that kind of ties in with other forms of successful Brazilian cultural export. Like music, clothing, fashion, a little bit of furniture, I mean, Brazil's super popular around the world. Everybody thinks they're peaceful, sensible people. It's considered a lighthearted party society. I don't know why, but if you're in Brazil, you realize that people don't have life easy there.
Yes.
But Brazil definitely has regional competitive advantages, and people are smart. And the thing that really struck me about Brazil is how difficult it is to be famous in Brazil. It's easier to be famous in Sao Paulo and famous in Lisboa than it is to be famous in Sao Paulo and famous in Minas Gerais.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't understand why that is. I mean, for a continental power, it's strange to me how little integrated Brazil is nationally.
Yes.
So I'm not sure that's a problem. It may be an advantage, but it strikes me, if I was in Brazil, that would be something I really scratch my head over, right?
Yes.
It's how come I can be a Brazilian novelist who's famous in France and nobody in Northeast Brazil knows who I am? I don't get it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And also, if I was Brazilian, I think I'd try to help out the Portuguese.
Yeah.
Which is an odd thing to say about, a former colonial society, but they could really use some cheering up. I mean, you go to Portugal and they're old, sleepy, and doing nothing but playing fado music. They're just not, they don't have any Brazilian dynamism.
Yes.
And I mean, Brazilians are just they're like firecrackers compared to the Portuguese.
Yes.
I mean, if I were Brazil, I'd just be all over Portugal.
Yeah.
Talk their language. I mean, I don't want to give people geopolitical advice, but I'm amazed by the difference between sleepy Portugal and dynamic Brazil. And I don't understand why the Brazilians don't have more solidarity with them. Just go wake them up, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we could start invading Europe.
Well, I would go to
Portugal.
Lisbon. If I was Brazilian, I would go to Lisbon before I ever went to freaking Silicon Valley. Forget it. The Californians have their own problems, all right?
Yeah.
Just they're not your promised land. Europe's got a lot going on. They're an aging society. They need some dynamism. Brazil's not old. Brazil has lots of new ideas. They're an American society. They're very fluent, very multicultural, kind of fast on their feet. Not a lot of huge traditions. I mean, they got oligarchy problems, and political weirdness, and so forth. But I think you could do a lot of good in Portugal. Maybe in other Lusophone countries. I mean, I'm not Brazilian, but I can imagine being Brazilian. And I know a lot of Brazilian science fiction writers.
Yeah, which one?
Well, gosh, what the heck is that guy? They always have three names. Roberto de Souza Calzo is quite a good friend of mine. He's an interesting guy. Fernando, oh gosh, I've forgotten her name. There was a brilliant, Brazilian science fiction writer who died recently in his mid-90s. I'll never remember, but he was a tremendous guy. They really had some top-notch talent. But like I say, they're not nationally famous.
Yeah, I am pretty George Lucas fan. Science fiction fan. Yeah, I don't know this guy.
Okay, fine, that's Hollywood.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know those guys that you mentioned.
There's a lot of Brazilian steampunks. Brazilians are very into steampunk. There's steampunk clubs all over Brazil, which is, an interesting thing in the Brazilian ciencia ficción scene, And I don't know, it's peculiar. It's really a big society, but it's kind of scattered.
Yes.
Yeah.